I don't like what I see. Hold on. There's no tank. There is no tank here.
Previously on Sailing 9 Lives, with the boat on land before our season begins, we got some well-needed boat projects accomplished.
Okay, I am going to begin the process of removing this marine head and the sewage tank behind it.
Even when we bought the boat a couple years ago, I was quite confident that this thing never actually worked right. And it only took one huge fiasco for us to finally realize that yes, indeed, it does not work and it probably never did. So thanks to Duke's hard work and ability to do the dirty jobs, we are happy to see it go.
I do not like what I see. I just made an exploratory cut here. I was trying to figure out where the tank is and what I'm dealing with here, and I'm clearly dealing with layers of plywood that have been fiberglassed together. But here's the scary thing. Ignore all the nastiness down there, but look, that bulkhead has been drilled through multiple times, kind of like an anti-slosh barrier or whatever. But look, there is no tank here. This is a bulkhead. I don't know if there's another one up there. It looks like there might be further up, but my quote-unquote tank is actually part of the buoyancy tank. This is awful. This is truly, truly awful. Oh my God. Oh my God. Second wall with holes. Bunch of nastiness in there. I think the next wall up there is solid. I think what I'm gonna do, try to clean this thing out, and I'm gonna seal it back up, and it'll just be a buoyancy tank. There, I thought I was gonna get back some extra space from removing the holding tank. That does not look to be the case.
Through a series of freshwater flushes, Duke very slowly got some of the nasty out.
Remove the holding tank, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Thoroughly awful day. Well, the water I pumped out is finally running reasonably clear. So what I'm doing now is I'm filling this up the rest of the way. And then I'm gonna put some of this surplus, basically enzymes for the holding tank. I'm gonna let it sit overnight and hopefully eat away whatever might be in there. And then I'll come back and I'll drain it, and then I'll fill it again, and I'll dump this bottle of Clorox in there and let that sit overnight. And hopefully, after draining it, it'll be reasonably clean. Boom! Just let that sit 24 hours. Bleach water. This former holding tank and future buoyancy chamber is now empty of the chlorinated water. There's a little bit of water and a little bit of residue of some sort down in there. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to clean out whatever's left in there. And ultimately, when it's bone dry, we'll seal this thing up. Pretending that hose isn't in the way. I actually can only go back as far as the frame for this cabinet anyway, and I can see that in fact these cabinet doors are not going to be openable when this is in place. So if I do make a recessed platform for this to sit on, I'll probably cut it something like here, and it'll drop 2 inches, then be flat. This can sit on top of that. So that's that. Okay, this is basically the start of what we're going to do here. This forms the basis of the top flange that's going to be well supported. It won't be just this. And then the composting head will sit on this, just sunk down in there a little bit, reasonably like so. Matter of fact, I can even, just for shits and giggles, kind of put this down on here. It'll be something like this. Not exactly, but reasonably close to that. So that it's a bit lower than if it was just mounted on top of this. All right, I need to still cut out a little bit of fiberglass back here so we're not pinching this hose. And I need to cut out some fiberglass here. That's where the spider handle needs to pass through on the side of the composting head, but that's kind of how it's gonna fit in there. Not bad at all. Love it. Okay, today I'm going to try to make some progress on this platform that goes underneath the composting head. All right, let's call that done. And the good news is the composting head does fit down into its little pocket very nicely.
today I am going to paint the composting head base, because in a lot of Geminis we notice that it's just a piece of plywood when they do switch to composting heads. So Duke created a very custom, luxurious base that he spent the last couple of days fiberglassing. So I get to do the paint.
Rhea doesn't like paint mixing.
You're right. We paint.
Very nice, puppy. Oh, yep, that's on camera. Sit up good, lady.
Yeah. Who would have ever thought people would actually watch videos about paint drying?
Maybe we can create a whole series, and after we put out a video so people can watch the paint dry, we could put out episode 2 and we can let people watch grass grow.
Yeah.
I bet you professional toilet platform painters have like a whole studio set up with adequate lighting and good ventilation.
Yeah. We could open that this one.
Yeah.
Alright, that's it.
All right, gonna call it done? Nice job, Bubs. Nice job. Okay, I need to do a little clearancing. Maybe I need a little more. Let's see. Foot's in the way. It's wet. Seems pretty strong. Cool. That fits good. It's a little tall, but I think it'll do. Pretty cool. Now that that's there, the fan should be running. It is. Off. On. There we go. Sump pump. Self-contained box. Very cool.
We are finally getting a shower put on the boat, and that requires quite a few steps.
It's snugged all the way up.
One of those is putting a sub pump in the floor, and this is Duke attaching it and testing it.
That's it. First hose is in place. Cool. For accessibility reasons, I think I'm going to put it right here in this front compartment. This is just better because I can access this thing, and it's a shorter run for the hoses too, which is nice. I just think this is a better option. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now my input is the lowest port. I can go ahead and connect up that hose. There we go. this hose, bring it up here. I'm gonna slip it right over that adapter. And that'll actually work pretty well. And then I'll just tighten this down, and I've got my discharge. Okay, connect this up now to the discharge. Get that on there. There we go. Input, output. River water.
And luckily, it worked on the first try, which is a rare occurrence on boat projects for us. Next would come installing the actual heater and shower.
Mount it here. I need to put a place here to pass the gas. Gonna drill a 3/4 inch hole for the water line. What a mess. For water supply, I used some excess hose from down below, and I put this kind of like a shark bite sort of fitting on here, and it's a quick disconnect that mounts up to this piece here. So that should be that. I'd say that's enough water pressure for a shower. No leaks there. Cool. Gas fittings, it's always a good idea to wrap the threads with Teflon tape. Also a good idea to use 2 wrenches. Don't just tighten this with a wrench. You want to hold back on the other fitting above it. First, I'm going to connect this hose to this gauge. Notice it's the same kind of fitting. I could have just connected it straight to the tank, but I'm gonna put this gauge in the middle here. Hand tight is good. And then I connect the whole thing to the tank. Hand tight. So, in theory, if I turn this on, there shouldn't be any leaks, and I can test that in a minute. First, let's just see what we get. All right, plenty of gas. I don't hear or smell any leaks, but we can use some soapy water to test all the connections for leaks. So I'm gonna leave this at minimum flame and maximum water pressure for now. And notice this is not on, which I think means it's not burning currently. And it's supposed to be when it senses a demand for water by turning this on. The water will flow and it will ignite, open up the solenoid, and presumably heat the water. So let's see. Oh. Hold please. There's a switch here. On? Now the light's on. You can hear the igniter ticky ticky ticky. I heard a flame. If you look up in there, you can even see a flame. Water's hot as hell. Oh my god, it works! Woo! Okay, and before I close all this up, I'm going to replace this drain with this one. And this is intended for a dishwasher discharge in a home. I'm going to use it as a place where I can plumb in a bilge pump output so that it goes into the sink drain. So there's the bilge pump drain hose. I just need to now get some 1.5-inch hose that's not so ugly and connect it up to here. One thing that's a pain in the ass about marine plumbing is that you're often working with mismatched fittings, right? So this is like a standard house drain type fitting, and then you've got this through hull over here that ends up with a big old hose barb, so you got to match a hose to, you know, standard home plumbing. So I guess sometimes you got to be a little creative in situations like this. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of effort I put into this. So what I'm doing is I took this PVC J-bend that slides up onto this drain and then locks onto the drain spout, whatever you call that. But I cut off the end of the J-bend, and I'm going to make it so that the existing hose that's here, even though it's ugly, I'm not going to disconnect it. I'm just going to use it, and I'm going to mate it onto this fitting. So there we go. It's kind of ugly, but as long as it doesn't leak, I should be good to go. And I didn't have to make another run to the hardware store. No leaks. Good to go. Over here, in the galley sink, I already started to disassemble it a bit, but I'll again put one of these in with the bilge pump feeding into this, I don't know, branch, whatever, and get another 1.5-inch tube, connect it all up, and then I will have my drain for the starboard side bilge pump. That worked out so well before, I made myself a second one. Over here on the galley side, I rigged up something very similar, but I had to end up using a longer piece of 1.5-inch hose. Now this is just pull hose. This is the piece that I replaced. So that's what that ends up looking like. No leaks. That's what matters. So for each hull, I got one of these 800-gallon-per-hour bilge pumps. I'm gonna mount these in the hulls, and hopefully they will never turn on.
Next up on Sailing 9 Lives,
Let my hair down.
we take a short break from boat projects and we enjoy a sunset cruise on the Hudson River.
2 knots, baby.
Ooh, nuts.
that weird lady man bun that you have?
It's not. It's just a bun. It's just a bun.
Well, I don't know. It's a man bun. You gotta qualify it and make it a lady bun, but doesn't sound right.
Just a bun.
Lady man bun.
Oh my god. Such a loser.